Welcome. We bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. Wasp Wednesday, folks, rejoice. We have another Wasp Women Wednesday here. And today, man, we've had about, as we've called off air, we've called these about the fluff fests, and we've had about five of them so far. Miss Lori Anney, how you doing, my sister? Great to finally get to do this and talk a little wasp. And we've gotten so much fluff out in these five sessions prior to today. And we had a long session before we even went on air here. So yeah, we've been laughing, we've been having a good time, but now it's time to get serious because we got to talk about one of our favorite bands, if not our most go-to band, and that is Blackie Lawless and Wasp.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so with that in mind, as I started with Miss Maria Grazia, I'm gonna start you off with first what got you into the music aspect, and then transition your way into what brought you to the Wasp table.
All righty then. Well, the whole family was musical. Dad, guitarist from the time he was like 10, 12 years old up until he was 95. So
God bless him.
no kidding. It's like he used to like to go to the nursing homes to play for the old people. So, but he liked jazz, blues, the standards. He was into, Django. He liked Charlie Christian. He listened to the blues, but he would listen like to Big Bill Broonzy, those guys, big
Hmm.
band standards, all that stuff. Mom was a hillbilly singer. She didn't call herself country because her figuring was if you were born by a slag dump in Curry Hollow, outside of Pittsburgh, you were a hillbilly. So she liked Hank Sr., she liked Hawkshaw Hawkins, Tennessee Ernie Ford, Patsy Montana, and later Patsy Cline. Now my sister, she was into classical. She went to college, studied music. Voice was her thing. But there's 12 years difference between me and my sister. She's 12 years older. So when I was a little kid, it was actually the classical music that appealed to me most because it really got my imagination going. Things from like Peter and the Wolf to Peer Gynt to William Tell Overture, Pictures in Exhibition, Night on Bald Mountain, all that good stuff, the dramatic stuff, the
Hmm.
fun stuff.
Hmm.
But what started getting me into rock music was someone gave my sister a copy of Jesus Christ Superstar. And with Ian Gillan, I had never heard singing like that before. It was like, what is this? Where do I get more? So reading the liner notes, okay, Deep Purple. We got to go to the record store. We got to get Deep Purple. Got into Deep Purple, found music magazines and got into Sabbath and Slade and Alice Cooper, or Jethro Tull, all these people. It's like, this stuff is fabulous. It's like I just couldn't get enough. So I was the music freak in high school. Then after that, once around the '80s started to roll around, there's a new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah, so I went to England a couple times just to experience the music. And then after that, when I was there, I was reading Kerrang pretty frequent because that was like every 2 weeks it would come out, and
Right.
started seeing all these blurbs about the LA bands. And then the ones that were really interested me is like, what's these wasp guys? It's like, are they for real? What is he wearing? My God, the guy looks like a walking junkyard. What's going on here? Didn't hear anything because this was like 82, 83. And all right, so I better go home and I better start finding out what's going on in LA. And when I got home, W.A.S.P had their metal shop. Had nothing to do with Charlie Kendall and his metal shop. It was a local program.
Yep.
It was Mark King of Dirt Dadia. And I've been reading the blurbs about Wasp all along. And he had, when Animal was first released, it's like, yeah, we're going to play it. We're not going to play all of it, but we're going to play some of it. And it's like, okay. you got me. Let's see what these guys sound like. Let's hear a little bit of this. And then from that first barrage of those chords opening up, it's like, holy crap, what have we got here? Oh, please, God. Yeah, it's like, now what does the singer sound like? What is like that feral growl coming out? It's like, yes, this is it. I mean, he could have been singing absolute nonsense, but with that ferocity that he could have been singing Maresy Dotes and Dozy Dotes and Little Lambsy Divey. I wouldn't have cared, because with that ferocity, that tone, and just that, the way he was doing it. Yeah, this is okay. I found my band. I found them, man. So 42 years later, here we are. Hi.
There you go. Yeah, that's how it was. That's really how that was with me.
Yeah.
When my buddy said, "Hey, I think you might like this Wasp band."
Mhm.
Well, we couldn't go see Iron Maiden and Twisted Sister that night at Stabler Arena in 1985 in January. So looks like learning about Twisted Sister and Wasp it was, and I picked
Mhm.
up that first album, and
Mhm.
that was a life changer. So I know all about that. I know what you mean about that. That was
Oh yeah.
you find that go-to band, and man, it just hooks you.
Yeah, well, that was it, because Animal, it wasn't what he was, oh, he said the word. It's like, it wasn't anything like that. It was like, there is something here.
Hmm.
There is something worth having here. And then when the first album came out, and the songs were just incredible, it's like, and then, but Sleeping in the Fire, that's the one. It's like, he's really got something. There is a
Hmm.
voice in there. There is more to this than just these bangers of songs. It's like, there's something else here. I don't know what it is, but
Yep.
I want to hear more of it. You know.
Yep. Yep.
And
I felt the same way with Sleeping in the Fire. I was like,
Mhm.
there's, and it was the first song I took to my guitar teacher. So, all right, help me learn how to play this thing, and that was, and he took me a different avenue to learn the song. It came
Mhm.
out to be a totally different way. But boy, yeah, that you talk about a song that just really latched on to you, man. Sleeping in the Fire definitely. See, I heard the first album before I heard Animal. So I
Mhm.
didn't get to hear Animal before I heard the first album. So it was a few months later till I finally heard Animal. So I'm not even sure if I got the single. I think I got the single, and then I heard it. And then I heard it on Metal Shop one night because
Mhm.
somebody actually I remember somebody called in and they were complaining about their boyfriend giving them some VD of some sort or something, or I don't remember what it had, something weird or something like that. And they were just kind of griping about that. And then they said, well, hey, we've got a song for you. And all of us, and they started playing Animal, and I about died laughing. But anyway, it's terrible story. If you're that person that called in on that day, I apologize. Anyway, I will let you. The floor is yours. Continue.
Where do you want me to go, man? Because I will talk about the albums.
Well,
I'll talk about, you
so
know.
now, one thing I will say is behind you, we see some art pieces. So
Mhm.
artwork, and you have been an artist for how long?
Oh, since I was a little kid, I was always drawing. I was always doodling. I wasn't very good, and as a hobbyist, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Never will be professional, because I never really studied. But this is what I do to amuse myself.
right. So you told me stories as you got into the workplace, you kind of you were doing this little thing at this record shop.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some of these displays that you would do for the band and things of that nature.
Oh, I love doing. I did stuff. Did this stuff for free on my own, because I managed a dinky little record store in a really lousy mall that had a grocery store and a Kmart for anchors. So that really wasn't up to much. But it was probably the worst store in this mom and pop 7 or 8 store chain, but we catered to metalheads because that was most of the people that came in there. And so I was in my element. I would, I was always finding out about new bands. I was, going into Philly, picking up my copies of Kerrang and any other magazines I could find to learn about new bands. And then I started going out to LA to experience it for myself. But I would do all manner of displays and whatnot over the years. I did a lot of W.A.S.P displays, obviously. For that first tour, there's kind of like a running thing I did where I would make displays or I would make banners to take to the shows with me. Like the first show, this is actually, I painted this on a T-shirt, but this was basically what the banner was, just Blackie kneeling. And it was a little more cartoony because it was meant to be seen from a distance. It was maybe about 6 feet high. Right. And I would hang it up. But this is at the time when they used to do in stores. And so I would go wherever they were having in stores within reason. And so first they're at the Tower Theater, and I hung that up in the balcony. And at that time, with this thing, Blackie did the thing with the posters. He'd roll out the posters, point at himself on the poster, going, "That's me, that's me." Well, he started doing that. He saw the banner up in the balcony, and it's like, "That's me, that's me." It's like, "Oh yeah, cool." And so then they did an in-store, I think it was Baltimore the next day. So I went down, and it's like, I said, you just go. You get like about 3 seconds of conversation. They sign stuff. And it's like, I told him, I said, "So you saw my banner in Philly last night? The one up in the balcony." Said, "Oh, you did that?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Did you bring it?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Well, hang it where I can see it." It's like, "Okay, I'll do that." So there I am somewhere in Baltimore and hanging a banner on there. And the same thing is like, "That's me." It's like, God, all right, this is great. And so this went on. So then for the Last Command, I unfortunately don't have it because, back in the day when we had pictures, I would take them and lose them or send them off. But I had done one of, the Last Command where he's got that whole, over the shoulder smolder look, and I sewed feathers on it and everything. And where they did an in-store that time, I forget, it might have been up in Long Island or somewhere, but I told him, I showed him a picture of the old banner. It's like, I did this last year. I made a new one this year. Like, "Did you bring it?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, hang it where I can see it." It's like, "Okay." Ow, twist my arm. And so it's the same thing. So it's always, "That's me." I thought, that's really cool, man. It's like nobody knows that but me, but that really cracked me up. And it's like, yeah. I got such a kick out of that. I really did. I thought that was hilarious. And then for the third one, for Electric Circus, well, because the one for Last Command, I did on like a twin sheet. Well, the one for Electric Circus, I went whole hog, and that was on like a king size sheet. Oh, boy. Now you gotta realize I have to move furniture out of the way to do something this size.
Right.
But and so the proportions are off, and it's not as good as I want it to be, but it served the purpose because it's going to be seen from a distance.
Sure.
So again, back to another in-store for this album. It's like, okay, look, remember these? So I don't know if you remember these, but I did these banners. Oh yeah. It's like, okay, cool. So I did a third one for this. Did you bring it? Yep.
Oh, I can see
it. It's like, this is great, man. This is just terrific. I am really having fun with this. It's always the same, it's me. Yeah. He's always off mic when he's doing that "That's me" part, but it's like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. It's like, I think he got a kick out of it. I was getting a kick out of it. And it's like, I had to, and then when the show was over, I have to hightail it up to the balconies or wherever to get it because I actually caught someone trying to steal one of them once. And, oh, no, 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 you didn't make this. This ain't yours.
Right.
So, but then for Headless, they kind of had not doing so much for the in stores anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I was managing a record store at this time, and I had gotten to be acquaintances with a couple of women that worked at Sanctuary, and also someone at Capitol in Hollywood. And so I would send pictures to Sanctuary Music, the management company, and they got a kick out of a lot of this stuff. And then the one I did for Headless was it was the album cover,
Okay. All
but
right.
it looks
Right.
okay. But then you realize that is a door next to it. That was about 8 feet by 5 feet.
Whew.
That was massive. That was hanging in the back of my store. You could see it from the front of the store easily.
Right.
And after it had been up for several months, they had come and toured. They were at the tower again. After that, then after it had been up for several months, I took it down, folded it, and sent it out to Sanctuary along with a display I had done for one of our Ace stores. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't ask for it, but I said, I'm putting this display up. If you touch it, I'll break your knuckles, you know? So, but I had done this from the back of the album
Oh,
cover,
nice.
the three guys. And
Right.
so I took that, and after several months, it's like, okay, I'll take it down now. And I sent that as well.
Well, that's
And
cool.
so then sometime later, I got a letter back. They send little notes, and they took Chris, Blackie, and Johnny. They took that picture and they pasted it on they were up on, I think, the seventh floor of on Hollywood, building on Hollywood Boulevard. And so they pasted it so the guys are looking out of the window, and people, who's that? That, and then also with the big Headless display, Blackie was there at that time, and he actually had signed it, and they sent it back to me, and I put it back on the wall again.
Of course.
A couple more months. Yeah, I wish I can't find my pictures of the signed version of it, but it was I still have the letter that say, oh yeah, he liked it and he saw it and he signed it and blah blah blah. And I'll tell you something that was pretty funny. Some years later, this was in '98, at there was a rock wrestling and a horror convention up in Secaucus, and the W.A.S.P guys were, because it was Blackie and Chris and Mike and Stet at that time. And so I went, it was a typical convention thing. You go through, you get your thing signed and whatnot. And I showed him these pictures, and I said, yeah, it's been a while, but I said, I used to manage a record store, and I did these displays. And Blackie was looking at them, and he kept looking at the Headless one. He kept looking at that, and it's like, Philly, right? And it's like, Dad, he remembered my artwork. This is awesome. Yeah, when he says he has a remarkable memory, he ain't kidding. That, you have no idea of how happy that made me. That, look at that. This guy remembered the artwork I did.
Mm-hmm.
This is fabulous. It's like, okay, I'll live on that for the rest of my life.
Nothing, boy, nothing wrong with that at all.
you
Now,
know, like he remembered my artwork. It's like, that is really very cool.
yeah.
To remember Philly. It's like, yeah, you're on my Christmas list for the rest of your life now, bud.
So, okay, so I kind of want to fast forward because I know they don't tour the States for a long, long time. But then you were kind of going on a little bit of a tour the last couple of years, getting to see them in numerous places
Oh
on
yeah.
these last tours, and you got to do a few meet and greets. So did you get to share any of those old stories with him, or to see if he still remembered you, or how did that progression
Yeah.
keep going from those meet and
He,
greets?
he, he wouldn't remember me because I'm just another blonde. It's like the artwork is the important thing.
Right.
But it's like I wasn't going to try and tax his memory to, oh yeah, this was 40 30 some years ago, you remember this? It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that to me, and I'm not going to do that to him. But it was kind of funny because one of the things I took to be signed was I still have my original W.A.S.P fan club, my little laminated card, and I have my little W.A.S.P Nation, fan club cards. And it's like, so yeah, I've been a card carrying member for a long time. And it's like, he's like, yeah, seems to be. So, but it's like, but it's like, but I just kept showing up. That poor man. It's like I was like, following him around like a demented, cocker spaniel or something. It was like, yeah,
Oh, it's
you
you again. What kind of question you
yeah,
got for me this time?
yeah. I think it's just that I don't just ask questions. Sometimes I go off on an out of left field, stream of consciousness, and just let him pick whatever he wants to answer. But it's like, yeah, I mean, the man he's very patient, and he's very tolerant.
Yeah.
Um, kudos to Blackie, because other people will say, it's like, look, he's always been nice to me. I can't complain,
Right.
nothing to squawk about. But yeah, I did a number of, I did like 4 shows and 4 meet and greets in a week, and then went out to LA for the last one. Um, but he was always good. He was always nice. I never had a problem. It's
Yeah.
like I said, I'm sure at the point is like, God. But he didn't do that. So I mean,
That's
that's just
fine.
one of
No,
them.
and that's good. I'm not, I've only gotten to do the meet and greet twice. I've never had the
Mhm.
chance to go follow around and stuff like that. I wish I could have. That would have been really cool.
Yeah,
But no, I've only got to do it just twice in Atlanta, but 2022 and then 2024. But
I did Philly in 2022, and I did Munich in 2023 because my sister lives in Munich. So,
right.
that's a given. But my thought on that is like, I have a full-time job. I have PTO. I used to do all these meet and greets, or the in stores, when I was a lot younger. This is a way of recapturing some of that fun.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I paid for it. I don't care. The cost of them going on tour, I'm sure, is phenomenal. Anything that's going to help keep them touring, I'm okay with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do this. It's all right. You
Yeah.
know,
And you meet some really cool people sometimes at these
yes,
meet and
I
greets.
do.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the real diehard fans, the ones that really want to be there,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and that was certainly my experience from the 2 times I did it. I really got to hang out with some pretty cool people, and hey, I got to friend some of them on social media, especially
yeah.
from this last one. It was really cool. But so so now with your art. Now, you have a particular favorite album that I know you have. There's a song or two I think you mentioned to me off air that I know you kind of want to tie into that. So let's talk about what your favorite album is of the bunch, or what the one that you kind of reach for the most, I guess.
Okay. The one I reach for the most is Unholy Terror. I know most people go for Crimson Idol, which I love. I love Crimson Idol, but there is something about Unholy Terror that just gets to me every time, because there's well, first there's the song Unholy Terror, which
Hmm.
is atmospheric.
Yeah.
He knows how to create atmosphere.
Yes.
And then when he goes into charisma, now I have this thing because I was brought up with a lot of classical music. There are some songs that they don't sound like classical music, but they give me that same feeling.
Hmm.
One of them is Raging Storm.
Okay.
Okay, Raging Storm. That I hear that, but what happens in my head is I am hearing, and okay, I'm going to sound probably like a pretentious twit, but I am getting the same feeling that I got from the overture from The Flying Dutchman by Wagner,
Mm-hmm.
because it's this vast, sweeping, all engulfing. Oh, it's just the drama of it, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's that it really does something to you. And then weirdly, there's especially off KFD, the horror and Kill Your Pretty Face, and what else? And there's one of the other, the horror and what
You.
you. They all have this kind of exotic feel to them, between the rhythms and the way that it's presented. It's exotic in a way that, okay, it sounds strange, but the Bacchanal in Cezanne's Samson and Delilah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the origin. By the way, I was corrupted by opera at an early age. It was Samson and Delilah. I'm like 12 or 13. My sister was in the opera company in Philly, and they were doing Samson and Delilah, and I went, yeah, the story. You're a kid, so I can follow along. Um, towards the end of the opera, right before Samson is brought out to destroy the temple, they have their orgy. And here I'm sitting in the front row. I'm like 13, and here's all these well-built young men in glorified jock straps, all jumping around with these women that are dressed like belly dancers.
Oh
And
God.
it starts slow, and then by the end of it, they're all carrying each other off, and I'm sitting there going, really? So I was corrupted by opera. I don't want to hear anybody say about how rock and roll will destroy your
I
soul.
was gonna, I
No.
was, I was gonna say Naughty 15 has nothing on that, right?
Oh no, 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 no. So, but back to KFD with the horror and Kill Your Pretty Face and You. They
Mm-hmm.
have the same kind of exotic feel that just builds up to this explosion at the end of it, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
dude, that is so cool, but then charisma, that is bolero.
Right.
It's got that hypnotic, repetitive quality to it that just, it's everything that the words say. It's like here he's describing these awful people, and how
Mm-hmm.
you just get sucked into this charisma. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's literally, you're being mesmerized, at least I am, by the music, and you're listening to it. It's like, this is charisma. This really is how it happens.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
bolero, because it just repeats and repeats and repeats until that does come to a huge crash at the end. But
Mm-hmm.
it's got that same quality to it that just draws you in. And it's like, yeah, this is really, art, music, all of it, all tied in together with, because charisma can be for good or for evil, you know?
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely, you
like,
can.
it's like, wow, man, what he does with those words. And then, but like I said, because sometimes I think it is all about his lyrics. He wordsmiths, Blackie wordsmiths like crazy. It's like the thought that he puts into using the correct words and giving you that feel. But you gotta pay attention to the music too, because you can't have something dinky that doesn't fit with the words. And
Exactly.
so, I mean, the guy, like I said, he gets drama, yeah. And when he's singing, his phrasing is something else entirely. Yeah, and he really, dynamics. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. He understands dynamics. It's like it floors me every time.
Yeah.
But Unholy Terror, that, and then Euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, he could do an entire album of those kind of instrumentals, and because that's wonderful. It's just so, where did this come from? This is beautiful. This is fantastic. And then Ravenheart. I don't know what it is about Ravenheart, but Ravenheart and a couple other songs. I call them tinglers.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from or how it happened. It's not chills. I don't get chills when I hear them because that's something different. But Ravenheart, and we've got Charisma. Skinwalker is a big one.
Yes.
Phantom in the Mirror and Blackbone Torso. I hear those, and every time it's like I've got almost like an electric current running under my skin. It's like this isn't chills. That
Hmm.
feels good, but it's just kind of like it's a ting. Those are tinglers.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happens or why it happens, but yeah, it's some effect. I don't know
It's
how
it's
or
it's
why.
it's an effect that certain songs just, I mean, because I have those too, and I
Mhm.
think of the Wasp songs that probably does that for me. And I think, Skinwalker would probably be certainly one of them.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of what would, I mean, sometimes I think even for me, like No Way Out of Here,
Yeah.
it kind of does that for me too. But I mean, Charisma, just you can't help but feel the lyrics, to feel the
Mhm.
music, and it does
Mhm.
suck you in. Shadow Man,
Yeah.
for me, even though the riff might sound a little like God of Thunder,
Mhm.
it still sucks you in.
Yes, it
And
can.
again, the way Blackie delivers those lyrics, just man, really
Oh,
gets you.
oh, you want to talk about delivery? Still not black enough. When because it's like Skinwalker, well, that's just whoa. Breathe.
Oh
Oh, good
God.
grief. That is the, and I'm listening to this, and it's like, how did he do this? This is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is just so evocative. It's like
Hmm.
it's like and it's like same guy that did Animal. Okay, he's been right to hide himself away for all this time. It's like there is a
Yeah.
man. There is a massive soul
Yes.
in there, and it's like, and he's right to guard it. He really is.
Yes.
That he releases so much in this. I mean, when he says, he literally bears his soul when he's doing so many albums. It's like it's true because
Hmm.
that is just so. Other people will go for keep holding on, which is lovely. It's a great song, but breathe. It's like, oh man, that's something else.
And
But
you think of the progression that you got to get to that. Okay,
yeah,
you heard touches of it on Sleeping in the Fire. You hear touches of it in Cries in the Night. You hear
yeah,
touches of it on maybe, say,
forever free.
Forever Free. I was thinking of something off Electric Circus, maybe, maybe a little Sweet Cheetah, um
More restless gypsy.
or Restless Gypsy. Yes, Restless Gypsy would probably be closer. Forever
Mhm.
Free. You get a deeper
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
soul.
and
And then
hold on to
Hold
my
On My
heart.
Heart. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. And just the Idol in a different way, but
yeah,
you get that tenderness of the Forever Free and
mhm,
Hold On to My Heart, and then you get
mhm.
Keep Holding On and Breathe, and then just some of the other stuff that you would hear. Goodness gracious. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, how did he? But that it translate. He got that. He got that on a record, and you feel it.
Hmm.
It's
You
not
do.
something that you just listen to. You feel it.
Yes.
If you're on that same wavelength, you feel it. Like
Yeah.
the one that absolutely devastated me was I Can't,
Yes.
because I wasn't expecting that. I was listening to that, and it starts out, this nice kind of little bluesy thing. So where's he going with this? And where's he? And he's getting rougher and he's getting lower, and it's like,
And then the
oh
F
my
bombs
god!
drop.
And then when he hits that first scream, first time I heard, he hits that first scream. Oh, it was ugly crying for an hour, and I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
To me, that first scream, that was a lifetime of anguish
Hmm.
and despair, because from the start of that song to the end of that was sinking into despair.
Yeah.
At least as far as I heard, other people have said other things about it, but it's like, no, I hear despair in that.
Yeah.
and that I couldn't listen. I had to skip over that song for a couple of weeks before it's like, you know,
Just
it's
hard to.
like, yeah, it was hard. It's like, I don't know how he managed to sing this, how he gets this, out of his performances. But it's like, dude, if you're trying to make people react, you got it.
Yeah.
This will do it.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
It's kind of sad that he's never performed any of those songs live. I mean,
I don't,
maybe one or two here and there along the way, but I don't think, I mean, he never toured that album,
but
but
I don't think people wouldn't appreciate it.
no, I don't think
Very
so.
few would.
Yeah.
Very few, because you're still going to have people, in the, and it's like, no, that would have to be a completely different type of tour and a completely different kind of concert. Because the majority of the people that go to see them wouldn't, I don't want to say they wouldn't get it, but if they're the casual fans that usually show up to these things, it would be like, what's
Huh?
this? Where'd this come from?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
But
it's like Def Leppard playing something from the first album.
yeah, it's like, but
It's
it
like,
would
yeah,
just be,
there's 10 people in the back of the audience that was like, yeah,
yeah,
wasted. But
yeah,
everybody also like, that's not pour some sugar on me.
yeah. But it's like, but and plus too, to do it properly is probably a different frame of mind you would have to be into
Oh
if he
God,
was going
yeah.
to sing them properly and
Yes.
all this. And it's like, yeah, I wouldn't ask someone to do that because that just wouldn't work really well,
Yeah. I mean,
I would
I would be okay with him doing Goodbye America or No Way Out of Here
oh
or Black Forever or I mean those something like
yeah,
that would be okay, but I mean the ballads, no, maybe not. That would be a totally different that's a totally different beast. But
yeah, absolutely. But even so, even with doing anything else from that album, people just a lot. Some people would get it. A lot of them wouldn't.
right.
And it was new. It's like, oh, new song, man. Oh well,
Yeah,
you know.
it's a shame, but there's just not enough diehards in every city to warrant playing that kind of stuff. But
Which is a shame.
yeah, it really is. It really is. But um, so one thing I'm going to touch on is I want a little bit of info behind you on some of those for our viewing audience here. You got a couple of pictures behind you there. You got Blackie doing the Phantom of the Mirror there, and
Well,
and
I'll
then
say that
or
Blackie is the Phantom in the mirror.
right.
He's just there. You can barely see him, but that is supposed to be Jonathan. I did two versions of this. Neighbor's got his Harley out. What can I tell you? Ah,
Whoops.
so,
He's going to
but,
ride into the wind forever free now.
yeah, oh yeah. But this basically is based on Phantoms in the Mirror. It's pretty much the story of Jonathan, who
Right.
kept this version of him kept annoying me because it's like, okay, he looks too old and he keeps looking like Steve Harris. Why are you doing this to me? You know?
Right.
I've got. It's hard to tell from this, but if you see it up close in the mirror, it's like the mirror image is not the same as the reality of it because it is the illusion is real.
Right.
So in front, you have the candles that are lit. In the mirror image, there are the candles that are burned down and snuffed out.
Right.
Okay, in the front, like I had to do I did a reverse image of it uh, because there it is there. But since I have this on, you see it in the reverse. I did a
Hmm.
reverse, but in this is the preliminary version, the actual versions, and the roses in the front, they're red and alive. In the mirror, they're dead.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the other version I did, you have the card in the front is the fool. In the other one I did, the card in the mirror is the hanged man.
Right. Right.
So, and you can't see them in this because it's so dark, but I do have the four doors of doom there. And
Very cool.
it's pretty much the whole story, and you can barely see it, but there is the noose up there. Uh,
Right.
yeah, I tried to get as much as I could in there, and I that normally I don't do anything that exacting. My style generally is a lot rougher, um, and I it's more impressionistic. But I just felt like I had to do this one. I don't know why, but it
It's a very
inspired me
cool.
that
It's a very cool piece. I mean, the whole imagery of it is just really fantastic. So yeah, it's like I said, I have a hard enough time drawing a stick figure, let alone something that good. So,
way.
but
But
so
there's that, and then just like other pieces like that one, just because I saw that there was such a dramatic pose and it was dramatic lighting, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. And then so I had to see if I could do that, and then you know, the whichever, okay, I got to work opposite ways here, yeah. And there's got to go the other way. It's like, yeah, and the KFD look, just because it's so striking.
hmm
You know, it's it's
yep.
it's a, it's a striking look. And then I did one. Not, I don't think it was KFD era, but that just because there was volumes in that expression. I don't know that I really caught it, but
hmm
there was just something that was no nonsense. Okay, this, you know, you're in for it. It's like this is just, you know, if you can get the eyes, you can get.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You know, but there was just something in that expression I had to try and catch. I think I got most of it, but you know, some of it I left kind of unfinished, like the other hand and whatnot. But it's like, but I'll probably darken everything else just so that you can focus on the eyes.
hmm
Um, you know, and then this one was just, but because that's just a fun pose. I mean,
Oh
come
yeah.
on.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah. Come
he had
on.
a different expression, which I changed because I like this one better. So, but you know, but it was just, it's so Elvis, if I dare say it.
Pretty much.
there's,
With
there's there's a kind of exuberance there that I like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then the other things, you know, it's like just because I don't know if you can. Oh, yeah, you can.
I can see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can see I did
Yep.
the Raven and the Phoenix just because like I like that just juxtaposition of
hmm
the colors. And then the one below it, uh, which is actually Saint Michael. Uh, yeah, the inspiration for that was after my parents had passed. I didn't know what I was doing with myself. Golgotha came into that really heavily, but I went to New York and was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I'd seen it a number of times before this particular painting. It's by a Dutch painter in like the 15th century, 1435 or something, I think, is when he painted this. But it's a diptych. It's two paintings. One is the crucifixion on one side, and this is from the Last Judgment on the other. And it actually is a very small painting. It's only like about this big by about that wide, but hundreds of figures in it. It's like, I don't know how they did this, um, especially in that time with, you know, no modern conveniences. But there was Saint Michael standing on the back of death, it was separating the just from the unjust, you know,
hmm
and not allowing the unjust to come up. And that was, I took that and just took that portion of it for battling depression. That was okay. So you got death there. That is the depression that it's like, I have to rise above this. I have to do better than this. It was like a physical manifestation of how I was feeling at that time. And it's like, yeah, I got to do this. I got to come above this. It's just like Golgotha, that album, because my mom passed in 2014 and my dad passed in 2015. They had been married almost 70 years. And so living with my father's grief, you know, after mom passed, that was one of the hardest things I ever did in my life. And it was just like, and I had quit my job some years prior to take care of them here at home so that they wouldn't have to go and live in assisted living, because they didn't want to do that. And I didn't want them to do that either. They
Right.
wanted to stay home. So I left my job and I came here to do, the housework, the cleaning, the shopping, take mom to the, doctor's appointments and all this. Because dad, even though he was in his 90s, he was still driving. I mean, it was only local and only during the day. But most of it going to the gym and hanging out with his friends. But that gave him his freedom. And mom, she was prone to anxiety and depression. I was around for her all the time. But, so I spent like 5 years taking care of them.
Right.
And once they were gone, it was like, what am I going to do now? I don't know what my life is anymore, because that was my focus for all those years. And then I think when did Golgotha come out? In
2015.
October, November 2015, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
And so, of course, I picked it up and listening to that. And there we go. Miss You. Ugly crying again. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right. We've done it. It's like,
Yep.
It's like, all right, he did it again. It's like, yep, man can make me ugly cry faster than anybody else. These songs will do it. But the thing is that it was good, because that finally broke me.
Yeah.
To the point where I could start rebuilding.
Yeah.
It's like that was the last piece. It was like that. Miss You just broke me down so bad that, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I can start doing whatever. I still don't know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. I did start painting again, because I had given that up. So that's where, all this started again. But Miss You just gave me that introspection of like, now what?
Yeah.
Where am I going to go?
Sure.
And then, like I said, other than the painting, I don't know what it is. I still don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. But maybe that was just it. Just start up again for whatever reason. Thing of mystery frequently.
It just brings us back to what the music has done, what the music has meant to us as fans,
Yeah.
and for us who just like really get it. We're just not gonna
Yeah.
we've gone below, we've gone beneath the surface. We've scratched deeper. We've gone 6 feet under if you want, but we've gotten in deep with this band. And a lot of people don't go, they don't see the beauty of being able to do that, and
Yeah.
and I
It's
think, through the art, and how that's come to, how that's manifested with you in your life through the music, then that's obviously how it has spoken through you. And to me, that's just I just love that picture. So it's a great thing to be a part, to have gotten to see a little bit of, and to get to know a little bit more of.
yeah. Yeah, it's just like, everyone in my family was musical. I opted for the visual arts for whatever. So, which is probably just as well, because I work in a warehouse, and a manufacturing warehouse, so there's machinery running all the time. And I work by myself upstairs in an annex, and I've got my little Bluetooth speaker up there, so I don't want to listen and have headphones, because I know I'll blast my ears out, and I don't want to do that. But since I work by myself, that's okay. So frequently scare the big bosses as they come through my area. Mostly because when Promised Land comes on, I belt that out. That is roughly in my key and roughly in my range. And when they coming through, a lot of people go, "Oh, okay, I'll stop saying." I just get louder, and the whole gesture, and it's like, "Yep."
Well, at least you're not scaring them with "Don't Cry, Just Suck" or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, there are certain
Or
places. I don't
kill your
want
pretty
my back,
face.
okay?
Or kill your pretty face. That probably wouldn't be a good one either. But
But it's like, I don't want HR coming down on me. It's
no,
like,
no, 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 no. No, but yeah, Promised Land, that would be a lot of that would be a lot of fun. We'll have to get a video visual of that sometime and
Oh
make
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like Blackie, you'll never see this, right? Okay, all right, we're good.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what, my goal with this with the Wasp women was I wanted to show some folks, hey, women are fans of this band too, but guess what, folks? They go a little bit deeper than just saying, "Ooh, Blackie."
Yeah.
There's a lot more depth to the fan base, and
Mhm.
it's more than just us guys being sausage parties the entire time. No, the women shows can show that there's a huge depth to this band that sometimes women only really grasp. And it's just very cool to be able to show that. And Lori, I'm just so thankful that we've been able to just have a little snippet of what WASP has meant to you. I certainly have learned a lot from it just in our fluff sessions. So I
Yeah.
want to thank you for taking the time to do this.
No,
And
literally, my pleasure. Just get me started and then get out the way, and you won't get hurt.
that's
You
right.
know,
We'll have to eventually do part two someday. And but
we don't have the world ready for that.
that'll be for another time and another place down the road. But so with that said, I'm gonna wind this on down. Thank you for doing this, Lori. This has been amazing.
Oh, we
It's
had fun, haven't we?
it's been a lot of fun getting because we're both Pennsylvania people here. So I'm just gonna say that we're both Pennsylvania people. Originally, I'm a Lehigh Valley boy. Yeah, I'm living in Alabama, but she's outside of Philly, so
Yeah,
she's in
don't
that.
hold that against me. Don't hold
So
that against
no,
me.
no, 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 not in the least bit. Not in the least bit. So it's always good to have the Pennsylvania connection here. So that's always a good
Yep.
thing for me. But hey y'all, like, share, subscribe. Let's have some conversation in the comments. And I hope to do another one of these in the not too distant future with another lady that I've been trying to talk to a little bit. So that'll be down the line, but not just yet. But so again, Lori, thank you. This has been a blast.
Hmm.
Like, share, subscribe. Go listen to some Wasp. Johnny Metal, John Clouds of the Metal Dad. We'll see you soon. Rock forever, y'all. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.